Welcome. Thank you for watching this YouTube program. My name is Sam Jones, and I serve as the Family Life Minister for the East Jackson congregation. Today is part one of several lessons for married couples. The title of this series of lessons will be Insights for Surviving FCS. Insights for Surviving FCS. FCS stands for Forced Confinement Situation. My objective for each lesson will be twofold. First, to suggest two insights for married couples on things they can do to survive this FCS, this forced confinement situation. And number two, to offer an exercise with each insight for couples to implement to strengthen their marriage during this forced confinement situation. This forced confinement situation was a mandate placed upon many married couples. And as a result, many married couples are ill prepared to manage this situation. Many couples are crying out, "Oprah, where are you?" Others are screaming, "We need help," or some husbands are going to get hurt. So allow me to briefly share several lessons, and in each lesson provide you two insights for married couples to implement to survive what I'm calling FCS, or forced confinement situation. So let's start with the first insight. What are two things that couples can do to strengthen their marriage, to keep their marital satisfaction high or increase it during this forced confinement situation? Number one, be willing to change or adapt or adjust. Be willing to change or adapt or adjust. Situations and circumstances bring about change. The threat of this coronavirus has brought about many changes in the world and in our lives. Change is going to occur in life. And studies on marital happiness report healthy marriages, happy marriages, have spouses who are able and are willing to change or adapt when they are confronted with an unexpected or an expected situation or circumstance. Let me repeat that. Studies on marital happiness report that healthy marriages, happy marriages have spouses who are able and are willing to change or adapt when they're confronted with an unexpected or an expected situation. The coronavirus has produced an unexpected situation called FCS, forced confinement situation. And healthy marriages will adapt. Healthy marriages will change. If you want your marriage to remain healthy, if you want your marriage to be happy and rewarding during this time period, then you must be willing to change or adapt to the situation. Now, change starts with a mindset. It starts with the mind. Our behaviors influence or determined by our thoughts. Thus, if we're going to change our actions, then we must be willing to change the way we think. Consider two passages from the Bible. The first, Matthew chapter 15, verse 18. Jesus starts the conversation back in verse 11. But he says in Matthew chapter 15, verse 18, "Is that which proceeds out of the mouth, that doesn't defile a man, but what comes out of the heart is what defiles a man." In other words, Jesus says our actions are not determined by what goes into our throat. Our actions are determined by what goes into our mind, because what goes into our mind influences our behavior. And so the way we think, Jesus says, determine or defile our behavior. And so, if you want to change your marriage, then you must change your behavior. So consider Matthew 15, verse 18. But then there's a second passage, Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, a familiar text, where Solomon says, "As a person thinks in his heart, so is he." So if you think your marriage is lousy, If you think your marriage is bad, then guess what? That's what it's going to be. So if you want your marital situation during this forced confinement situation to be positive, you've got to change the way you think, because the way you think will influence your behavior with your spouse during this forced confinement situation. So healthy marriages are adaptable. Healthy marriages will change for the good of the relationship. Marriages that are unwilling and unable to change and adapt will experience a decline in marital satisfaction. So, if you want your marital satisfaction to increase, if you want your marriage to be a blessing during this forced confinement situation, then consider what changes do you need to make in your behavior for the good of your marriage. Not what changes your spouse needs to make, but what changes you need to make for the good of the marriage. Consider the words of Proverbs chapter 28, verse 13. While Solomon says, "He who covers his sins will not prosper." In other words, what Solomon is saying when you make an application of that text to marriage, a marriage where a spouse is unwilling to change will not prosper. If you want your marriage to prosper, if you want your marriage to be a blessing, then you must be willing to look at yourself and change. And if you're going to change, it starts with the way you think. It starts with the mind. And so, the first insight that I suggest to you to make your marriage better, to make your marriage prosperous, to make your marital satisfaction increase during this forced confinement situation is to be willing to change. Be willing to look at self. Be willing to adapt to the situation. So here's an exercise that I want each of you to consider. Each spouse selects a behavior you want to change, or allow your spouse to select a behavior that he or she wants you to change and work on it this week. Again, here's the exercise. Each spouse selects a behavior you want to change, or allow your spouse to select a behavior that he or she wants you to change and work on it this week. Then select a scheduled time each day to sit down together to assess and to discuss how you are progressing. And so, the first insight for surviving FCS, forced confinement situation, is to be willing to change. So, what do you need to change about yourself? This was an unexpected situation placed upon your marriage, and research suggests healthy marriages are those marriages that are able to change during an unexpected situation. Let's go to the second insight. The second insight is this: be willing to laugh or simply smile more. In the marriage during this forced confinement situation, be willing to laugh and smile more. Humor and laughter, they're good for marriage. They're good medicine. Consider, again, two passages. The first is Proverbs 17, verse 22, where Solomon says, "A merry or a glad heart does good, like medicine." Proverbs 17, verse 22, a merry heart does good, like medicine. In other words, what Solomon is saying here, laughter is good medicine for the body, but it's also good medicine for your marriage. The second passage, Proverbs 15, verse 13. Proverbs chapter 15, listen to what Solomon says in verse 13. A merry or glad heart makes a cheerful face. If you want your spouse's face to light up each day, then smile more at her. Smile more at him. It's kind of difficult to reciprocate a smile when they see a frown. So if you want your spouse to smile more, then you smile more. If you want your spouse to laugh more, then you laugh more. And so the second insight that I'm encouraging spouses to do during this FCS is to spend more time laughing together. During stressful or difficult times, learn to relax by laughing. Laughter comforts the mind. Laughter has many benefits for your health as well as your marriage. Don't allow laughter to leave your marriage. Don't allow laughter to escape your marriage. The absence of laughter in a marriage is a sign that something might be wrong in your marriage. So, to strengthen your marriage for this FCS, this forced confinement situation, then simply learn to laugh or smile more each day. According to the Help Guide publication, listen to this. Laughter decreases stress hormones and increases immune cells and antibodies that improve our resistance to certain diseases. Allow me to repeat what I just said. According to the Help Guide publication, laughter decreases stress hormones and increases immune cells and antibodies that improve our resistance to certain diseases. So, if we want our bodies to be healthy and we want our marriages to be healthy, then laughter is good medicine. And so I encourage you, during this FCS, learn to laugh more. Learn to enjoy one another's company by smiling at each other more. Laughter is good for the body. Laughter is good for the marriage. Now, here's the exercise. Watch together a comical drama on television, or watch a comical movie, or read out loud from a wholesome joke book some jokes and laugh. So this week, what I encourage you to do this with the second insight is to watch a comical movie together and just laugh and laugh and laugh. But while you're watching the movie, you're sitting together. You're embracing or holding each other, and you're watching the movie and you're relaxing and you're laughing together. So this week, what you're going to do during this forced confinement situation, you're going to be willing to change something about yourself for the good of your marriage. And second, you're going to spend more time relaxing by laughing with one another, laughing at one another. And so I suggest these two insights to strengthen your marriage. I suggest these two insights to make your marriage better. I'd like to end today's lesson with a joke. And hopefully this joke will put a smile on your face. It's entitled 4-Letter Words. 4-letter words. It goes like this. As soon as the newlyweds returned from their honeymoon, the young bride called her mother, who lived a few hours away. The mother inquired, "How did everything go?" "Oh, mother," the bride began to say, "the honeymoon was wonderful, so romantic. We had a terrific time. But mother, on our way back home, Bruce started using horrible language. Stuff I never heard before. Really horrible 4-letter words. You've got to come get me so that I can come home. Please, mother," the bride cried out. "But honey," the mother said, "what 4-letter words? I can't tell you, mother. They're too awful. Come get me, please." "Darling, you must tell me What has gotten you so upset? Tell mother what four-letter words he used. Still crying, the bride said, Mother, words like dust, wash, iron, and cook. Well, I don't know if that made you smile or not, but our marriages are faced with an unexpected situation called FCS, Forced Confinement Situation. Lesson 1, I've suggested you 2 insights, 2 things that you can do to strengthen your marriage. Be willing to change something about yourself to enrich your marriage. And number 2, be willing to spend more time this week simply laughing, smiling, and enjoying one another's company. Until next week, I'll share with you 2 more insights. Until then, may God bless your marriage during this FCS, this forced confinement situation, to be the best it can possibly be. May God bless you.